gotta tell somebody.
This is the best thing I've ever seen.
Let's talk about that.
Listen to this.
Memorable and exciting.
Well, then be less boring.
I'm going to tell everyone. Wait here.
Mighty remarkable, Big Daddy.
Remarkable.
Welcome to Remarkable, a podcast for B2B marketers that deconstructs the most iconic moments in film, television, pop culture, and advertising for a single purpose: to give you, the B2B marketer, the same storytelling techniques that the pros use. In each episode, you will learn techniques from Hollywood, Pixar, Marvel, and beyond, from Spielberg's hands to yours, bringing remarkable content ideas to you every single week. I'm Ian Faison, CEO of Caspian Studios. This is Remarkable. This week, we're talking about marketing lessons from influencer Alix Earle.
So while I have you guys all here, people that don't follow me, hi, I'm Alix, nice to meet you. 23, I live in Miami, but I basically live out of a suitcase. My dad has a farm. I'm always down for a good time.
With the help of our special guest, Director of Content Marketing at A-LIGN, Elizabeth, how are you?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you on the show. Excited to chat marketing and content. But first, why the heck did you pick Alix Earle to talk about today?
I picked Alix Earle because I have had a long fascination with influencers. I discovered blogs back in the early aughts and have been following influencers from platform to platform ever since. So blogs, Pinterest influencers, YouTubers. So of course, when TikTok came around, I was downloading that app. I was there. I was checking it out. And Alix Earle really stood out. She's a fantastic influencer. It couldn't be more different from me. And I think that that's the appeal. She's young. She's beautiful. She's partying with her friends. She's going out. She's living this amazing life. And I just was so fascinated. But she really had staying power. I've been watching her probably for 4 years now. And she just keeps up-leveling and doing more with her career. I'm so fascinated. I can't look away.
I love it. This is such a fun topic. But before we get more into Alix, tell us about A-LIGN and your work there as Director of Content Marketing.
Yeah, so I work at A-LIGN. We are a cybersecurity compliance company. We're the number one issuer of SOC 2 reports in the world. So we do everything in compliance from SOC 2, ISO 27001, federal compliance, healthcare compliance. And so in my role, I lead our content, comms, and customer marketing teams. So we really drive that content engine for everything marketing, helping to educate the market about compliance and make sure people know about A-LIGN services.
Amazing. Meredith, who the heck is Alix Earle?
Yeah, so Alix Earle is a TikTok influencer. I think she's originally from New Jersey, but she started posting to TikTok during her freshman year at the University of Miami in 2020.
That is Meredith O'Neill, our amazing producer extraordinaire.
And originally it was dance videos, because I feel like that was what TikTok was kind of all about. But I should also mention she was a marketing major. So I think that sort of lent itself to her success on TikTok.
I downloaded TikTok and I was trying out a bunch of different things on there, but it wasn't really working for me. But I knew I loved posting and I loved the app. So it took a few years before I kind of found my niche on there, which actually came from me doing live streams of doing my makeup to go out in Miami. And I would talk a little bit more and they could see my personality.
As of today, she has 7.4 million followers just on TikTok. And she's on Instagram too. And she has millions there as well. She has on TikTok, she also has 1.3 billion likes. So she's definitely doing a lot of things right. But she originally really got traction by switching from dance videos to these get ready with me videos.
Get ready with me for class at UMiami. I really just want to go to bed right now. It's my last semester though, so I got to pull it together.
And she sort of showcases her skincare and makeup routines and getting dressed and things like that. And she really attributes at least some of her success to posting about her struggles with skincare and cystic acne. And she said, when I started out, I had no idea and I was trying to be picture perfect. And I thought that was the way to go, but it's never really worked for me. I posted about my acne and then the followers started to come in, which is crazy because I was trying for the opposite for 3 years. And then the second I stopped trying to be the hot, pretty, picture perfect girl is when things started to take off. So that said, she really is the brand, right? She's kind of selling herself. And that's the thing with influencers, I feel like, is it's their personality. It's the way they interact with the camera. It's the way that they bring you along on their day to day. She's really known, Elizabeth, I know you've mentioned this before. She's sort of known as being like sort of down to earth, relatable, accessible. She gives you this inside view of her life and all of that. And she says consistency and staying true to yourself are key, which I was looking at her latest post. She really posts like every day and sometimes multiple times a day, which like, I don't know who she like, you got to have so much time to be able to do that and edit and all of that. And they're like crazy stats for her followers. She got 4 million followers in 1 month during her senior year in college. And she had said, it took me 3 years of trying to get big. So like she's spent time and really dedicated herself to growing her following. But she's also like very tuned into her audience. And she says, I read comments and I learn. I love my audience. I love connecting with them. So I want to know what they're saying. So she is reacting and responding to comments. She also does live streams. She does all these things to like really chat with her people, you know? And TikTok was like, she grew her TikTok first and now it's become this launching point for her. So I think, Elizabeth, you mentioned she like has a tequila brand. She also now has a podcast called Hot Mess.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Hot Mess with Alix Earle.
She signed with Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy. So she's now on Alex Cooper's network, the Unwell Network. And she's using this as like an extension of her social media or TikTok brand. And so that kind of, I thought it was cool because TikTok is like short videos, but like now she can do deeper storytelling. She can have more longer conversations so people can really get to know her as a person. And so I thought that was cool that she's like sort of diversifying her like portfolio, her media portfolio. But I'm wondering, Elizabeth, like what, I know you mentioned like you started following her and then you got hooked. Like what for you was it where you were like, she's different? Because I feel like that's how people can really like, you know, skyrocket their sort of like media presence.
Yeah, I think she really did the TikTok algorithm well, which is like doing the same thing over and over again, but with differences. Like I think that that's what does well. Like you know what you're going to get when you go to someone's page. They come up on your For You page every so often and you're like, okay, I know this video format, I get it. And so the Get Ready With Me videos was like a great example of that. But she was always like getting ready for something crazy. Like you're like, oh wait, you're going to a rave that starts at 2 a.m. Oh, okay, fun. I'd love to see you get ready for that. And then the next day, but it'd be like, okay, now I'm getting ready to go to my Spanish final. And you're like, oh, whoa, this is nuts. It was like really interesting because you never knew what you were going to get, but the video format felt normal. You'd sit down in front of her vanity. She'd be doing her makeup. One like quirk she has is when she curls her eyelashes, she rolls her eyes so far in the back of her head. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. Like you're like, are you okay? Are your eyelashes going to be okay? But it's fun. You're like watching her and she's doing this again, whether she's like going to a yacht party in Miami or whether she's like getting ready to go out to brunch with her mom because she's in town.
Get ready with me for a Halloween boat party in Miami. We're going out from sunset into nighttime. I'm going to start with the eyes for this. I have a denim bikini.
So, which is like so interesting to stick around for that. And again, the consistency and like the endless energy. She's always doing something. Like I just would expect that at some point you'd be like, I got to take a couple of days on the couch, not move, not speak to anybody. She was like always moving on to the next thing.
Yeah. For us that are going to bed at 8:30.
Yeah, like, she can't. I don't know where she gets his energy from. Couldn't do it myself.
Yeah, same. So you get a little view of that like sort of lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of influencers are. It's like escapism, something that's not you. Like I don't need to watch someone who works from home and works in marketing and like what they do every day. Like I'm living it. But it's fun to watch someone who's doing something different and exciting and maybe even like foreign to you. Like the idea that I can't imagine what even like now I know what a nightclub in Miami looks like at 3 a.m. I'm never going to go there. That's like not a place for me. I'm never awake at 3 a.m. Couldn't catch me there. But like now I kind of like have a view into that world. And I just think it's kind of like eye-opening and fun to watch.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, gosh, there's so many things there that are fascinating, but I never understood until just now, until you explained it, Elizabeth, why the putting on makeup videos are so popular. Mm-hmm. But now I totally get it. Because I've always viewed it from the lens of, I don't know who this person is. So I understand it's, when someone is putting on makeup and they say something like, whatever. Why do boys always want one thing? And then it's some guy comes in and it's, you're right. And then the camera pans to like video games or whatever. And it's like, so I always understood, I always see, those sort of clips go viral, but I never understood like, what's the allure here of someone sort of like talking to the camera about, whatever. But when you have a relationship with them and you are actually interested in what they're getting ready for, and being like part of, and I'm worried, and I'm not worried, well, maybe a little worried what happens there, but I'm interested in what happens at that. But also the next day, them talking about it, it becomes slice of life.
Yeah. It's like you're on FaceTime with a friend, honestly. It's what that's the parasocial part of it. But like, it feels like you're just sitting down with a friend who's calling you while they're getting ready to go out and telling you about their day.
Yeah. That is really funny. I feel too, though,
that like the makeup stuff is like, I love a good transformation. Do you know what I mean?
True. And everybody does.
Everybody does. Where you're like, oh, you can look like that? That's crazy. This is another thing of like watching someone else do something that you would never really do. I don't wear a ton of makeup, but like, I'm always curious about like how other people are using it and how I'm like, maybe I should try that. So it's like, you're getting information from it too for yourself, I think.
That is so true. I remember when my wife and I started dating and, she would sit and get ready and I would pester her. And I remember we did something somewhere, going to a wedding or whatever, and a bunch of the girls were getting ready. And I remember her and like, they were having so much fun and they were watching each other get ready. And then they were all like, super into how each other does makeup. And I remember the guys sitting there and I don't know what we're probably playing like beer pong or doing something very dumb. And we're like, why is this so interesting? And they're like, nobody teaches you how to do makeup. You just learn it yourself, or someone like at the mall is, you should do it this way. And then you just do it that way for the rest of your life until someone like interjects.
Yep.
So yeah, anyways, like I from an outsider's perspective, looking at that, where it's, of course, someone getting ready isn't interesting to me because I don't, put on makeup or get ready. So like that piece of it is not interesting, but also I don't have the relationship with the person, but both of those together, it's, if it was, I don't know what would be a good example for me, but someone getting ready to work out. No, just kidding. I literally never work out. But someone doing something, getting ready to garden. Oh, dang. You put your gloves on that way? Like, how do you not get the mulch in your shoes? Oh, you got some gaiters on? I don't know. So I get it. I get it all now. And I love it.
Yeah. Just, it's like, again, you build that relationship with somebody and then you're interested in what they're doing and you want to follow along. And there's the educational piece. And then it's such a simple format, but like over time, you come to know and care about what this person's doing. And then you're locked in.
Yeah. Locked in indeed. Obviously you follow her.
Yeah.
And you followed her for a while now. Because you said were you one of the 4 million? Did you find it? Do you remember how you found out?
Yeah, I probably was in that early, like that big jump. I was probably found her around that time. Perhaps I'd like to think a little earlier, but but like I probably found her when everyone else was finding her. Like she came up on my For You page. I like checked her out, and that's when she was in college. And everyone's always, and it was also like, it's also an interesting sort of pandemic time when like most people weren't going out, but college kids in Miami still were, and so you were a little bit like, interesting, but that's fun. I'm sitting at home, would love to watch you go out. I don't know. Hope you guys are okay. So yeah, I kind of like found her then. So honestly, I've probably been following her for 4-5 years at this point.
I have a question actually for you, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Because I know she's known as being like down to earth. Mm-hmm. Having not followed her until you mentioned who she was, and then talking with you who like has followed her for years, have you seen a difference in kind of her accessibility in that way? Or do you feel like as she's gotten more and more famous, that has become less so?
Yeah. And I think she's interesting because if you just look at her, she does not look down to earth. She does not look like, she does not look approachable. She does not look like somebody you just want to hang out with. You're like, wow, this is a beautiful woman who has all of this privilege and can go do all these things. Doesn't look like she's not the girl next door. Yeah, when she puts makeup on, she's more beautiful, but she started that way. You know what I mean? Like it's not, but I think she's done a really good job of revealing herself. I think like when you talked about like her acne journey, I think that's like a thing that was really big in that relatable down to earthness of her, of just like being willing to reveal that. And everyone like sees this girl who's, like going to the clubs and like looks so confident, but then to be like, she actually sometimes is like crying in her room because she feels like her skin is so bad. And then you're like, oh, okay, she maybe is a real person.
A big thing which I think sparked my following was struggling with acne. I started to post that last summer, right before I went into my senior year of college. And I think a lot of people resonated with that. And that was kind of the first time I tried out this kind of imperfect posting.
Like, I think that kind of helps. And she seems to be pretty consistent. Like, I feel like as she grows, she continues to be open about stuff.
Okay, that's cool.
And so, but I think that you have to be able to like spend a little time with her to look past the like initial thing. Because when she's, oh, I'm getting ready to go watch my boyfriend play in the NFL, go to his game. You're like, that's not really approachable.
Yeah. And she's invited to like Miley Cyrus's launch party or
yeah. She's not doing things you and I can do, but but she has a good attitude about it and seems to not get too stuck up about it, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there's an alternative version of this where maybe she is a different person and she is sort of holier than thou and a little stuck up about it and, you know, whatever. And I'd imagine there's probably very famous people that act like that as well. But it seems like part of this is like she sort of steered into the relatability piece and a little bit of maybe I can't believe this is my life piece. I mean, I think that there's, you know, it's like we always say authentic is so important, but it is hard to be authentic when you go from broke to rich, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
So what is it? Every artist, you know, their first album is like super gritty. And then their second album is like this masterpiece, defiant, sort of like whatever. And then after that, it's like, well, I'm kind of not mad at the world anymore because I'm super rich now. So, I don't know what to make music about. But it's sort of like that sort of thing where when you're into that sort of slice of life type parasocial relationship with someone, where if they're super authentic, then you're that much in further. You know, you're into their life. You feel like you're much more part of their life than if they were holding you at arm's length, pardon the pun.
Totally. And I think that's a problem I think a lot of influencers run into, right? They start off as normal people and they're relatable, and then suddenly their lives become very unrelatable. Like, I remember back in the day on YouTube, I was really into a lot of makeup influencers. You'll see that's a thread through my influencer interests. But a lot of influencers who sit on their dorm room floor and post about the best drugstore makeup. So what can you buy at the drugstore that's affordable? And you're like, okay, I love this. This is great. This is my budget too. But then like over time, they're like, oh, I bought this at the MAC counter. I'm like, that's great. That's mid-level for something good. You're buying that. And the next thing you know, they're like, here's the new Chanel makeup. Here's the new Dior makeup. And you're like, girl, I can't buy that. Like now we're like, and they're like, this is the best mascara I've ever used. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's 10 times as much as the one you used before. You know, so you kind of lose that. And so their style is different. Like what they can afford is different. I do think one thing that Alix Earle has going for her is that she was always kind of ritzy. Like she comes from a wealthy family in New Jersey. She was already going, you know, kind of doing the like club scene in Miami, you know, going out, getting bottle service, like kind of thing. So I think it's not like as far of a jump for her. So it's not like she was like, oh, she's like, she had a nice apartment from the get-go. She drove a nice car. So I think that kind of helped her feel like that transition into it doesn't feel so stark that suddenly she's on red carpets, going to NFL games, etc.
I would also add too that she's not like edgy and she's not dating like the most famous people in the world. And she's not, you know, she's dating like regular athletes. That's, this person, you know, plays professional baseball or, you know, plays in the NFL, but let's the fourth stringer, you know, type stuff.
Totally.
Which is funny. But I think it's hard I think you see a lot of people, you know, embrace hot takes or having the craziest, you know, having a really strong take about certain things or trying to be outlandish or trying to, you know, push the boundaries, where it's like, it's interesting that someone who just like kind of good, clean fun a little bit is just as enjoyable, if not much more enjoyable to a large percentage of people.
Totally agree. And she really does a good job of writing that line all the time. That's one of the things I'm most impressed with her as like just an influencer, is that she avoids controversy. Like she's not making a hot take. She's not making of it. Like influencers love to get in drama. They love to be like, oh, I'm going to, you know, someone's mad at me and I'm going to nope, she's not doing any of that. She's just really like staying in the middle. When there's been controversy, she sort of stays quiet and just like kind of waits for things to pass. Like really just not going too far to the edges. And that seems to be working for her. I think that's a hard line to walk for a lot of people.
Because how do you stand out?
Yeah. How do you say that? But somehow she seems to be navigating that quite well. And that's one of the things I'm impressed with her as like an influencer as a business, is how she's been able to just kind of go straight down the line, be like interesting and fun, but never swing too far in any one direction.
Yeah. Did you, first question, do you listen to her podcast?
I have listened to her podcast. Yes. I'm not like a regular. I'm not a regular, but.
Whereas like you regularly still consume her TikTok content.
Absolutely. All of it. I'm watching all of it. I'm not missing it. I'm not missing the TikTok content that I'm seeing. But yeah, no, her podcast less so. So I'm not following her everywhere.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I'm not buying her a margarita. Like she has new margaritas. That seems nice. But I'm not like,
come on.
If I came across it, I would. Like I'm open. Listen, I own plenty of influencer merch. So, I'm a person who does things like that. So it's not to say I wouldn't do it. But I don't know. I think part of that is I don't think I'm necessarily her audience. Like I'm a little bit different than the people that she's targeting. So for example, her merch is not for me. Like
right.
Her merch is like tiny baby crop tops that you like, let's say like hottie on them. That's great. Love that for girls in their 20s, but that's not me. So I think some of it is like, I'm not necessarily like the right product market fit for the things that she's putting out in the world.
Yeah. I just, so she's got a margarita mix, which, and the crop tops, which is great. And she got a podcast, but like, you also watch every single one of her videos. So there is that, it's like, what is that point, like the 1,000 true fans thing that'll do literally anything you sort of say to do. Like you're not in that camp for sure, but you're like also not far off. And I'd say I'm in this camp for a lot of people too, where it's like, I follow, if they put up a video, I'm going to watch it, or I listen to every one episode of their podcast, or, whatever it is. And those people particularly don't offer, other stuff. One podcast that I subscribe to, which is great, who's been on this show, might I add, episode, I think 2 or 3, shout out to Scuffed. They're doing like a trip to Rome as like part of this show to go watch a soccer game. And I was like, dude, I got 2 kids at home. I can go to Rome. You know what I mean? Like I can't even get like away for like literally a day. My baby was sitting behind me at the first half of this interview. You know what I mean? I truly cannot escape. Please. So like I would have loved to support that. And I pay, Patreon or whatever. But so I do like support, in that way. But yeah, it's just like you feel like you've given enough to her by watching her videos that you're not like compelled to do that. But if there was a good enough offer where you're like, hey, if I'm going to I got to buy margaritas for a party anyways, I may as well buy hers.
Yeah. I think that's spot on. And I think also part of it is that like, I'm so curious at this point. Like I can't look away. Like this is like important to me to know what's happening with her. And like, it's not that I do really like her, but my fascination with her kind of is separate from whether or not I really like her as an influencer, if that makes sense. Like, I think she is doing influencer so well that I'm so interested in watching it and seeing it and like taking lessons away from it, which is a little different than some other influencers I care about, where I'm like, we're the same. I like you. I value the things you value. We have things in common. We'd be friends. There's influencers where I think if I met them in real life, they'd love me. Like we'd be besties. We'd sit down. We'd have all these things to talk about. Like Alix and Earl and I have nothing to talk about. And that's okay. That's okay. But I think it's a kind of a different relationship in that, again, I do like her, but it's like, I'm not here to be like, I think everything she's doing is perfect. But from a business perspective, from an influencer perspective, if I was her agent or her manager, I'd be like, hell yeah, girl, keep doing what you're doing. That's spot on.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of sort of like when I've met actors where you just love an actor so much in all their roles and you meet them and you're like, we have nothing to talk about. Right. You know what I mean? You're like, I can't even carry a conversation. By the way, this is a total tangent. I don't know if y'all know who Theo Von is, but have you seen the clip of Theo Von and Mark Zuckerberg when they start their interview? It is the funniest thing
I've seen
ever
a few clips from the podcast, but maybe not the starting one. But
it's we have to watch this after this episode. It is like the funniest thing. It's
is it recent?
It's I don't know how recent it is. I think it's pretty recent. But they sit down and Theo Von's just classic. And it's like him like across the table from Zuckerberg. They're like super far away, and he's like, and Theo Von has a coffee, and he's like, it's like, you drink, he's like, you like coffee?
Oh, God.
And he's like, no.
Brutal.
Not ever? It's like, no. It's like, maybe if I'm on vacation. He's like, okay. Yeah, sometimes then. And I'm like, oh,
yeah, I saw a clip where they were talking about how for a while, Zuckerberg's team wouldn't let him drive a car because they were like, we should drive you around. But then he instead kept being like, well, I'll just fly a helicopter then. So Zuckerberg can fly a helicopter. And his team would drive him, and then he would fly in a helicopter. And finally, they're like, "This is stupid. You can drive your own car."
That's so
crazy.
Like,
this is the most unrelatable conversation that they're having. So but
yeah,
have you ever seen this? Is a tangent, but I think it's worth it because we're talking influencers. Have you seen the clip of Larry King interviewing the guy from Community, Danny Pudi? And so Larry King's like, "What's the luxury to you?" And he's like, I don't know, fresh pair of socks? And he's like, socks are a luxury. Socks are not a luxury. He's like, no, like a fresh pair is a luxury. What do you think is a luxury? And he's like a Rolex or a private plane. And he's like, he goes, Larry, I was on DuckTales. Oh my God.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's like, I just have the kind of money that I can buy myself new socks. Let me be excited about that.
Yeah, but have you put on a fresh pair of socks lately?
Right?
It's nice.
It's nice.
So anyways, it just sort of reminds me of that, the idea of I want this person to be my friend versus the voyeuristic, I want to watch not the train crash, but I want to watch the train go by type thing. It's very different.
Yeah, it's different. And but kind of no less interesting and fun. There's a lot of, some people talk about hate watching, oh, I hate watch this influencer or hate follow these people. And there's something to be said about people you want to kind of keep tabs on, see what they're up to, follow them, good, bad, and otherwise. That's I think what makes social media kind of interesting. People whether you know people or not.
Yeah, it's funny that in mentioning Theo Von, I think that's one of the people where I'm so fascinated by his comedic style and his podcast and whatever. I'm like, it's just something that I feel like I've never seen before in my entire life. And you are seeing this and you're like, this is the most ridiculous performative theater you could possibly imagine, But same sort of thing. I don't think Theo and I would be friends. I don't, but right. It's I have to watch his videos on, I don't listen to his podcast. But when I see his video on Reels, I'm like, I got to watch this. He's saying something absolutely insane.
Totally. And I think there's been a lot of interesting conversations about influencers and whether you should only follow and support people whose values align with you, whose political views align with you. Right. That's a big thing. There's a lot of people in comments oh, what's your stance on this? And wanting influencers to speak out. And I don't really want to comment on whether or not I think that's important. But I do think that it is for me, I want to follow lots of different kinds of people. Yes, some people love to be aligned with them and be like, wow, this person's great. We got it. We're on the same page. And sometimes that's not important. For me, I don't really care about Alix Earle's political views. I want to watch her get ready. I'm not, I've got other places to go. I've got other places to go when I want a take on politics or a take on what's happening in the world. Or I want to watch a girl get ready for a rave. Let me live. That's where I'm chilling. That's where I'm that's where I'm doing something else. And so I don't need that in there. And so I think that following someone doesn't necessarily mean that you are co-signing everything they're doing, that you are giving them a big check on their whole life. It's no. This can be a lot. It can be a lot simpler than that. You can just like watching somebody on the internet.
I love that. Okay, takeaways. B2B takeaways from...
I think the first one, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, is just consistency. Showing up, doing the thing over and over and over again. When I think about marketing, I think about how easy and sometimes fun it is to put a new strategy together, put a presentation. Oh, I've got an idea. We're going to do this thing. Here's what it's going to look like. Here's how we're going to brand it. Here's how we're going to launch it. But the hard thing is showing up every day and doing it. Like it's, I'm sure you all know from hosting a podcast, lots of people try to host a podcast. They've got like a great idea, they do it. But then when it comes to month 3, month 4, you're still hosting, you're still doing it, you're still showing up. That's the hard part. And I think like Alix, not only did she get rewarded from doing that, she was on TikTok for a long time before she really got big. But even since making it, she's still posting multiple times a day. Like she is just there doing it, grinding all the time. And like, I think that that's like a key takeaway of like, it's not always about launching a new thing. Sometimes it's just about doing the thing you're good at and continuing to do it.
Yeah, it's the success. Rent is due every day. It's rented, not earned. You got to keep posting, which feels like it's a direct assault on me not having published my email newsletter for this week, which I have half written and I need to do after this. Yeah, it's right. I mean, we're coming up on 150 episodes of this show, and like I think I've hosted like 1,500 podcast episodes over the past handful of years. But I would add to the consistency it is process equals consistency, right? It's like you have to have a structure and a flow and an idea of what you're trying to do and deliver on it. Jeopardy has not changed in 40 years, right? Not to say that that's right, but just for them, it's right. But they show up, at 7 p.m., Wheel of Fortune's after it, every week, every day, forever. And so keeping that consistency, if you're making a show, and she makes a show, right? Alix makes a show. Yeah. It's a show that's 30 seconds long and it's getting ready, right? And it happens, So wait, so she posts every day. Does she post getting ready videos every day?
Not necessarily. She's kind of like, she's expanded the format. So there's other types of videos that she makes. But when she's getting ready, when she's going to an event, which is often, she's getting ready for it and you're seeing it. Even if she's like getting professional hair and makeup done, which is a thing that she does now, like she'll still be in the chair with the TikTok on. Here's me getting ready. Or even if she does hair and makeup, here's me getting dressed, trying stuff on. That's kind of a new thing she's gone into. People have lots of thoughts about her stylist and the things she's wearing, but she's expanded the universe. And then like her boyfriend will pop in the background. Her friends will be in the background while she's getting ready. Like really just kind of all variations on the same format. But yeah, sometimes multiple videos a day. I think she's posted 3 today. I've already watched them all.
But anyways, yeah, the point is that she made a format. She stuck with it. She did it over and over and over again. I totally agree. What else? Other takeaways, B2B takeaways.
Yeah, I think another one is thinking about how you maintain your relationship with your core audience while expanding into new places. I think that's obviously huge in B2B marketing. Like every investor is, okay, cool. Well, where do we go from here? How do we expand the TAM? Who do we go after next? Where's the next frontier? And I think it's really easy to, as a marketer, spend a lot of time thinking about, okay, how do we go after this new group? What do we do to get in front of them? What new stuff can we put out there? What campaigns do we run? What new content do we make for them? You got to remember who got you here. You got to remember your core customer base. You got to remember the people who, are still going to buy maybe you're no longer flashy services or flashy products, but that are like the ones that pay the bills. I think Alix has done a really good job of that. Of again, going back to her same core video types, focusing on getting ready with me. She still does the like fun college parties that are like, that's what people started being there for. But now she's like speaking at business conferences. She has a scholarship at the University of Miami. She's like talking about how she invested in Poppy. So things that are like starting to get a new audience of like more sophisticated people, or even as her audience is growing. But I think she's done a good job of like, how do you balance the new and the old?
How can brands do that?
Yeah, I think like one of the things I think about in my role is there's like always something new. So we're always hearing, hey, there's this new compliance certificate. We got to go after this. Like we've got a whole new market to go after. But we have our core businesses too. And so I think as I'm putting plans together and as I'm thinking about them, I'm always making sure that like most time, like what people are asking for is the new stuff. But like I need to know in my core and as the marketing team, hey, there's maintenance here. There's things we have to sustain. There's like that consistency of those processes that you've built to do the consistent stuff. You got to really lean on those. Like, how do we have that engine that keeps going so that we're not neglecting? Because a lot of times creating the new stuff is really time consuming. There's a lot of meetings, a lot of calls like that. You got to get educated on it, but making sure you're like carving out the space is huge. And then I also think that has to do with especially like customer marketing and how you work with your customers and how you communicate with your customer base, how you get feedback from them. I think that's a big piece of it. It's not just running and grabbing a new customer, but it's like serving the people who are already there and growing those relationships.
I love it. Can I offer a reverse takeaway from her?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, which is she talked about how, it took her, 3 years to get 4 million followers, to have that big sort of, windfall, which, by the way, you're like 38 years in, still waiting for the 4 million followers. So, it can take longer, but I don't think they're coming anytime soon. But I've never tried getting ready videos. So maybe,
I know. Something to consider.
Maybe this can do it. But what I was going to say is marketers you don't have 3 years, and putting out a bunch of content and hoping that it works is not a strategy. That's a strategy for literally a 18-year-old college girl who, it's not a realistic business strategy. And if you feel like you have a great format and an idea and you can execute it over the course of time, that you need to be really creative about finding distribution and thinking about how you're marketing your content. And I know we talk about this all the time, but we're just talking in a different episode of this about how there's a Hollywood studio that doesn't market every one of their movies, right? This is so pervasive in our world that people don't market their content, that they make something, they spend hours and hours and hours and hours of time on it, and then don't put any budget behind it. And to me, that's crazy. So again, it works for the TikTokers because they literally don't have any other chance. This is their chance, is hope you get found by the algorithm, plus, guerrilla strategies, guerrilla tactics, but you cannot afford to work that way. You just don't have enough time.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think that comes with the idea of consistency, of being you got to stay consistent on the things that work, right? And being able to suss out what is working for you. So having that right measurement in place, knowing if something is moving the needle. But yeah, a good point. Businesses do need to be able to walk away from something, and if it's not working, and can't just say, oh, let's hire a marketing team and do this tactic for the next 3 years and hope for the best.
I have another one.
I love this.
I'm kind of stealing
keep it coming.
Meredith's, because she said it earlier.
Do it.
She said, I love a transformation.
Yes.
And we all love a transformation. And I think that in terms of archetypal content, doing transformation videos, we happen to do them in B2B in the most boring possible way, in a white paper or a case study of sorts. But we love transformation videos, going from no makeup to makeup and sort of seeing the process in fast motion. And I think that there's just such a beauty and an elegance in the getting ready videos that show this transformation while sort of talking through it and talking through, what's going on, and sort of giving that sort of A story, B story, right? A story being Miami nightclub is where we're going to go. B story being I'm giving you something visually to look at. And so often in our videos, we're not focused on giving the visual B story, the actual getting ready to see the transformation. So if you're going from 1 data center to 10 data centers, well, what do I show? Data centers? I don't know. Figure out something to show. There was drama in the going from 1 to 10 data centers. Somebody said no. Somebody said yes. They got in a fight about it. There was drama in that. But if you show your B story and your B roll is showing 1 turning into 10, that's not what we want,
Wait, we don't want to just do some icons, the building, and then it splits off, and then we got 10 buildings. We get it. But no, I totally agree with you. I think there's lessons to be learned there of the way to communicate. And obviously TikTokers and influencers are great storytellers. So it's where's the drama in there? Where's the story? And I think that's a thing that often in B2B marketing we kind of forget about. We want it to be, we think, oh, B2B, it needs to be polished. It needs to be sanitized. But the story is the interesting part. That's where someone can relate to it. That's where somebody can get hooked in. That's why you care. And you're right. I think a lot of times we forget about that.
Yeah. And there's so many simple influencer setups that are so good. And if you study them, sort of like asking a question that is super like, why do men behave like this? An open-ended question that, a bunch of people have thoughts on that people are going to answer in the comments. That, there's so many different sort of setups, like, oh my gosh, this guy came up to me and blank. I'm going to this place and they're going to have X and Y. How do I make sure I don't run into my ex or whatever it is? I'm just making stuff up. But like the idea is, don't you kind of want to know though? Like, how does she stay away from her ex? So it's like those sort of like super simple human setups, which like we never do that in B2B stories. Like we never have this super simple setup of, the guy who used to work for me works for our biggest competitor and I absolutely hate him and I'm going to be on a panel with him, coming up. How do I navigate this? Now, you wouldn't say that in public, but what is the story that you would tell? Like maybe you anonymize it or maybe you do something else, but there's a story there that is compelling.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like thinking of those hooks, another one that I see a lot on TikTok that I think is really successful is like the way people introduce themselves of like over and over again, using the same intro for themselves, but it's never something boring. Like it's something with a hook. Like right now I'm really into this TikToker who starts her videos and she's, hi, I'm Riley. I'm an alcoholic and I drove Route 66 while in active alcoholism. And I'm like, tuned in. Okay, cool. What do you got to say after that? Like, I'm like, crazy. That's an interesting story. Like there's a lot of people who are alcoholics, but I'm like, oh, I want to know more about you. That like tells me something about you. And again, I think like oftentimes in B2B, we're like, oh, my company does XYZ. We are a SaaS solution for blah, blah, blah. Like, but that's not interesting. It's like, what's the interesting piece about it? Like, what's your hook that gets people like want to hearing more? And again, like from a good, brand building perspective, that repetition of like, how do people associate your brand and talk about it? I think that's like another good hook we can set from influencers.
I have another one, if you'll indulge me.
Absolutely.
And this was in our notes, but it said, in our notes says, what drives them from the beginning? They're talking about influencers. They're intrinsically motivated. There's a joy in creating. You have to find it fun in creating your own content. And I think you said that, Elizabeth, and it's our notes from you. And I think that I think it's one of the things that we miss the most in B2B is that we don't show the joy in actually creating the thing. And if you're not excited about it, your audience has no chance to be excited about it. Like no chance, right? So if you think that your topic is boring, congrats, it is boring, And not to say that you need to like spice it up with extra words, but get excited about telling the thing or find the excitement. Like if it's, talking about accounting software and you're not a huge fan of talking about accounting software, it's like you need to find a way to be excited about telling the story. And maybe the excitement is not like in the way that you're telling it, but maybe it's, I'm going to distill 70 hours of content into 1 minute and 38 seconds. And I'm saving you 70 hours of time by distilling this. That's exciting to me. Like saving someone 70 hours is a pretty exciting concept. So I think that, you can feel the joy in Alix's videos. You can feel the joy in a lot of the creators that like really feel passionate about this stuff. And you lose some of that, especially behind a brand, because brands are not people, right? Like so you lose the personality there. And like, that's not what LinkedIn wants. LinkedIn wants people publishing. So I think being able to steer into that and like finding the humanity, finding the joy, find the joy in creating the thing and have a little fun. And it probably will make your stuff way better.
Totally. And I think like, that's the thing. Influencers start off because they thought, oh, it'd be kind of fun to make a video. Like that's the initial nugget of it. And as marketers who for a living have chosen to create content and do marketing, we also need to think, hey, it'd be a little fun to make a video. That's where the start of it has to come from. Hey, it'd be kind of cool to write a really educational blog about this. Like we got to like have a nugget of an interest and idea. And I think that's always reflected. Like when someone is excited about the things they're making, it automatically makes them more interesting. And so we just have to lean on that. And sometimes that means leaning into the things that you're more interested in or better at doing. But to your point, if you think it's boring, everyone else is going to think it's boring. So it's about leaning into that. Like one of the things I'm working on with some of our internal thought leaders is like, how do we get them sharing? How do we, get them out there and posting? And, some people really don't want to do that. And my POV on that is sort of like, we shouldn't make them. If you are really like, no way, don't want to share, it's never going to be good. We could work on that for centuries, just not going to work. But there's like some folks, I work with one guy who he loves to share a meme. He loves to share a GIF. He loves to share a little joke. And that's not for everybody, but he can do it and it works for him. And so the first reaction, I think, to some of his content was like, oh, is this on brand? Is this right? And I was like, yeah, it's right because it's right for him. Like he's having joy in this. It lands because of who he is, because it's natural. It's coming from him. It's fun. And he's more likely to do it. Like he shows up and creates content for us and for our brand because he's finding joy in it. It's interesting. He is excited about it. And sometimes you can't manufacture that. It has to come from somewhere of an interest in doing it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And my sort of jujitsu that I do in those type of situations is find the thing that they are passionate about. And it's, if you're passionate about skiing, let's get this person talking about skiing. And then let's try to figure out a way to cultivate that energy. Because you're so right. It's, if the person doesn't want to be on video talking about this thing, I've said this on a podcast before, but have them explain it to their kids. Have them call their mom and say, hey, mom, I want to explain to you what I do at my job. And then I want you to ask questions and capture that. There's other ways to capture it than sit down talking head video where I ask you questions about, the future of XYZ. It's like, there's just other things. And that's can be interesting and entertaining and endearing, which is good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What else is working at A-LIGN? What's working for your audience?
Yeah, I really think that we're leaning into being educators and experts, and that's really working for us. And so that's a mix of utilizing our thought leaders and actual subject matter experts and amplifying their voices, whether that's through webinars, speaking opportunities, LinkedIn. But it's also just as a company, we're really dialed into creating educational and helpful content. So I was mentioning earlier, we have a new compliance assessment that's come out from the Department of Defense, and it was just announced in November. And so it's new. People don't really know what to do with it. They're learning about it. And we decided we're going all in. We are going to be the go-to source of information. And so my team is churning out content in every format we can think of. Q&A videos, we've done white papers, we've got a checklist, we've got webinars, we've got LinkedIn posts, we have guides, we have training calls, whatever you can think of. What if we get this out there? Let's see what people are responding to. Let's see what works. And the stories we're hearing back are oh yeah, A-LIGN, no CMMC. Oh, I'm reading your content. We heard from the BDR manager the other day that team's gotten 10 emails this week that are oh yeah, I actually just read this blog. It was super helpful. Oh, I checked out this video. It was great. So I think we're really leaning into that. And this is good proof of concept with something new to market. But I'm hoping that people see, okay, if we can associate ourselves, be the real expert people coming to us for advice, we can replicate this across other service lines at places that not that we're not an expert in this, but it's brand new. But there are other things we're real experts in too. So how do we bring that to market?
I love that. That's amazing. And super excited to follow along on your journey at A-LIGN. Any thoughts on final thoughts here on sort of content strategy or anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, I think related to this conversation, I think that inspiration comes from a lot of places. And, I think it's good to be a consumer. As a marketer, you're putting content out in the world, you need to consume it. But I don't think it necessarily means you need to be consuming, all the you don't need to be going to a B2B workshop. You don't need to necessarily be downloading things that are oh, this is for B2B SaaS marketers. You can watch TikTok. You can watch people like Alix Earle and other folks and get inspiration from what they're doing. I watch a ton of YouTube, and there's, whether it's somewhat educational content there, but also just content I'm watching for fun. Everything people are doing is marketing decisions, and there's things you can take away from that. I think we talked about a lot of the things, ideas here about how you can apply that to B2B marketing. There's a lot in B2B marketing we're not doing. And I think sometimes looking outside of B2B marketing is even a better place for inspiration versus finding a case study of the best B2B marketing brands of all time. Yeah, that's hard to replicate, but how can you see what else is out there? And so I'm always consuming. I'm always trying to learn something new. And I think that that's only going to make us all better marketers in the end.
I love it. Fantastic. Do you have a best piece of advice for someone who's trying to figure out their content marketing?
I think content marketing is a huge puzzle. I think that's part of the job I like the most, of figuring out how do we take channels? How do we take topics? How do we get them in the right places? And then how do we meet the needs of the business? So I'm always looking for what are the things people need from me? What does the business need? What requests are there? And then also, what do I know needs to happen? And figure out what that puzzle is. What's the right mix of things that's going to achieve the goals that need to be achieved? What's the right mix of things that's going to do what I know is good for content? How do we get the right amount of things on each channel? And so for me, like, I live and die by quarterly and monthly planning. I think it's about having that calendar, moving things around, and honestly, sharing that calendar all the time. I'm sharing it with everyone I talk to all the time. I'm getting feedback. I'm getting buy-in. And I think that really helps, grease the wheels a little bit, that people aren't surprised. They know it's happening. They have opportunity to give input. And I think that, with that, you can tweak it as you go, but you can put a pretty good content strategy together if you're able to take the time to put the pieces in the right place.
Wonderful. Elizabeth, you're amazing. Super fun
Thank
topic.
You.
Loved.
This was so fun.
Yeah, so fun. And we'll talk soon.
Amazing.
Well, that's it for today. I hope you got some good ideas for your B2B content. Thank you for listening to Remarkable. I'm Ian Faison, CEO of Caspian Studios. Remarkable is created by the team at Caspian Studios, B2B podcast as a service. Caspian also creates fiction series for B2B companies, so if you want a business thriller, you can learn more at caspianstudios.com. Hollywood-style storytelling for B2B. And in today's episode, you heard from myself, Ian Faison, and Meredith O'Neill, senior producer here at Caspian Studios. Remarkable was produced this week by Meredith O'Neill, mixed by Scott Goodrich, and our theme song is Solomon by Falak. Be remarkable and rise above the noise.